Hello Animorphs fans! Today on the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel we're going to be going through the top 10 Animorphs tropes. What is a trope? A trope is basically a repeated motif that's in a given series. It will be placed quite regularly and become basically a series specific cliche almost. And Animorphs had its fair share. So we're going to alright, do you want to come up and say hello, Lila? Looking meowing at me. Do you want to tell them what number 10 is? Yeah? Number 10 is pop culture references, isn't it? Animorphs had many pop culture references. What are you meowing at? It's rubbing up against my leg now. I'm trying to do a video, bloody cat. Animorphs spent a lot of time doing sci-fi things, so it was only appropriate that you get a lot of sci-fi references, most notably things like Star Trek and Star Wars, but there were other such references as well that weren't sci-fi. For example, South Park was referenced a lot throughout the books, in particular Rachel's having a dream in book 37 where she kills Kenny. There's also just random parts where they're saying, oh, I was going to watch the South Park marathon tonight. All the Star Wars stuff, all the superhero stuff, like mentions of Batman would beat Superman, all that sort of stuff. There are a lot of pop culture references in the Animorphs books, so much so that if a book goes by without one, then it's just not right. When we go through this list, you will see that I will use a lot of TV show clips to demonstrate these. That is because even the TV show, even though it lacked a lot of the stuff we like about the Animorphs series, used the same tropes. So instead of just reading you part from a book, I might show a clip from the TV series. I'm talking specifically about books, but the TV series gives us a visual medium for you to stop looking at my ugly mug for 10 seconds or so. Sound fair? Cool. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9 trope is clueless Axe. Axe is very often left clueless by things like, for example, the pop culture references. So 9 and 10 sort of intermingle sometimes, but other things as well send him into a spiral of alien confusion. And this in itself is more of a general trope. An alien who's not used to the human world, can't seem to grasp the basic ideas, like basic things that we do, and they have to ask questions. Now, one of my favourite parts about this trope in Animorphs is when the Animorphs just ignore him. He'll start asking a question of like, what is this Baywatch? And the rest of the Animorphs will just carry on the conversation as if he weren't there. Yeah. Even the TV series did this as well. Not as much and not in quite as funny a way, but it is quite a trope in the Animorphs series for Axe to be put in a human situation and not quite know what to do with it. Number 8, the Animorphs stealing ships. This happened more than you probably realise, and it's something that I noticed when I was doing my reviews. The Animorphs are constantly stealing craft, whether it be human craft or yurt craft, or even probably some more at different stages. So I'm going to, just off the top of my head here, I haven't noted these down, I'm just going to give you a list. So multiple bug fighters, so for example in book 11, in book 45, just 2 examples of them stealing a bug fighter. They basically drove the Sea Blade in book 36, as far as they stole that basically, along with Visser Three, but it's mostly the Animorphs. They've stolen a plane in book 37 in order to crash it into a building. They stole... what did they steal? Well, Axe stole a bomber jet in book 46. They even steal the Helmicron ships, technically, in order to act with his little dial. Yeah, they steal an awful lot of ships, more so than you'd think realistic, you know, considering advanced alien races. They would have better security systems. Even the freaking human systems, like the plane in book 37, they just freaking tiddled through the freaking airport landing area and airstrip and just jumped on and away they go. Yeah, it took it to ridiculous levels at some point, sometimes, stealing these vessels, and yeah, I'd consider it an Animorphs trope. Number 7, and it's one that we all know, and it's in basically every single book at the start. My name is. It's very, very well known. Even like people who don't really know much about Animorphs will remember, my name is Jake. And these are the Yeerks and their parasitic slugs. Now, because of the way that Animorphs was written, it was almost necessary because they made it so that you could jump in at any book in the series. Whether that works or not is up for debate. Even when a book didn't necessarily start with my name is insert Animorph name here, these are the Yeerks, it would usually do it within the first 2 chapters in pretty much every single book. Even the Chronicles books went into that. You know, it's just one of those things that Animorphs did. It's not that exciting, which is why it's not quite so high on this list. You know, it's in every single book, but at the same time it's a bit like, it's not that interesting, is it? Something that is a bit more interesting though, and still happened quite a lot at the start of books, is the opening shenanigans, I'll call it. And that is number 6 on the list. That is when a book will start with them just doing something seemingly trivial, like turning into rats to find out why Cassie's maze creation lab project isn't working, or going to the circus in order to stop the guy tormenting elephants, or releasing Price Cut Polly, or being parrots and shouting at people in some restaurant sort of place. Mostly in the early books this took place. It was sort of when it came to the David part where things got a bit more serious and it didn't happen quite so often, but it still did happen occasionally. And yeah, the opening book shenanigans is a bit of a trope amongst the Animorphs community from what I've seen. And it did have some entertaining moments, things like the parrot ones, where I think there were a few pop culture references as well, so these all combine, you see. The TV series, even though the episodes were short and they didn't have much time to fill, they still managed to get those opening shenanigans in there every so often. And they were actually probably some of the better moments, honestly, in the TV series. Because it felt like the books, which is cool. Number 5 is probably the most egregious on this list. It is the mysterious technology trope. We give you an item or a situation or a phenomenon and you never explain it. It's just like, this is the way it is. And it does so, it happens quite a lot. And sometimes it's deliberately played off for a joke. So when Axe was talking about ThoughtSpeak at one point, he says it works by the transmitter of the zero gravity, and they just cut him off straight away. There's not enough time for that now, Axe. We need to talk about the more important issue. And it happens several times when Axe is trying to explain how something mysterious works. The cat just frightened the life out of me then. Bloody hell. Yeah, it usually involves Axe trying to explain how this mysterious technology works. And it will be in the midst of planning something, and one of the Animorphs will cut him off and say, we don't have time for that now, Axe. We've got to concentrate on this. And so the book knows that it wants to try to explain some mysterious technology, but it can't do it. So it just cuts him off. But this is also just done a bit cheekily sometimes, where they'll introduce a concept and we'll have no idea how it works, and we're just expected to roll along with it. For example, book 36, because the Pemelite ship has been hidden from book 27, where only androids can find it. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Visser Three's developed a ship specifically made to find that vessel, even though it was hidden so that only androids could find it. We're not given an explanation on how, and it's not revisited again. It's just there for the plot's sake. Basically, the book utilises an alien sci-fi form of magic to explain difficult situations in order to keep the plot moving. And it happens enough in this series that it does become a bit tropey, and the book, as I've mentioned, itself plays on it for a joke. Weird alien technology, how does it work? Don't know. Let's move on with the plot. It is a bit tropey, and it happens a lot, and it's quite amusing, so it's quite high on this list. Number 4, every series needs catchphrases, and Animorphs is not short on catchphrases. So let's have a think about the catchphrases we all remember from this series. Let's do it! Do it! You know, the is it Sheila Buff, but in Rachel form. Let's do it! That's her catchphrase. Marga has insane! And then there's the classic, don't call me Prince. That's Jake's line, which comes after Axe will call him Prince Jake. Axe, before anything else, don't call me Prince. Secondly, important issue. It's always fun when that comes around. Then Marco will tend to joke about Tobias eating roadkill. Tobias doesn't really have a catchphrase apart from the occasional whining, but that's an emotional state, not so much a catchphrase. And of course, Axe repeating syllables. Syllables. Cassie doesn't really have a catchphrase either, does she? No. But yeah, there are still a few catchphrases in there. I mean, TikTok appears quite a lot as well. Just the character saying, TikTok, time's running out, guys. There were quite a few, and they are very good. I do like them. They've got good catchphrases, so we're high on the list now. Number 3. Visser Three's Morph a Week. Every week there's a new monstrous alien he's going to morph into. And it does get ridiculous quite quickly. Somebody mentioned it about the reaction. I think it was the Mardrot, the javelin fish-like thing in the water. No, the javelin fish was in 4. This is what I mean. Every book, there just seems to be a new evil monster that Visser Three morphs from some unknown place. Sometimes it will be from like the Horbagia homeworld, because the monsters in the valley and whatnot. But oftentimes, like for example, in book 37, he morphs Grimer from Pokemon, or Mok, whatever the big one is. And it just gets ridiculous. Just think of the most scariest, biggest alien in the world, and Visser Three will have morphed it at some point during the series. And I mean, what can you do? He gets all sorts of weird superpowers. So I think the one in book 20, he can like shoot his fists out like Stretch Armstrong, stretches them out, or sometimes he'll have something that can fire rockets out of its body. Sometimes it will have like just, I think it was in book 48 where he morphs the jelly monster. That just sort of is jelly. Yeah, Morph a Week Visser Three. Good entertainment. It turns him into a joke, of course, but still, you know, monster a week. You can't complain. Very comic book fashion. And that's number 3 on the list. Let's move on to our top 2. What do you think they're going to be? Come on, give us your bets. What's going to be the top 2 tropes of the Animorphs series? You probably already know, because there's 2 that appear all the time that we have not yet mentioned. What's it going to be? Number 2. Number 2 is... Give it a bit. The updraft. The thermals, guys. The thermals. There's not one time where they're not flying around in their morphs saying, "Oh, what lovely thermals we have today, gang." And there's just this weird obsession with thermals. It's like K.A. Applegate was searching, I don't know, she was looking for a trivia book and she saw, "Oh, that's interesting. An updraft of warm air is called a thermal." Oh, I love this. I've got to put it in every single book. Just every book. Tobias, how are the thermals today? Oh, thermaling, mate. I've been thermaling all freaking day, man. Thermals this, thermals that. Fucking thermals, innit? It's just, yeah, every single book near enough. I'll bet you, if I search through every book, I will find it at least once mentioned in each book. Near enough, except for like the books where... No, pretty much every book. Probably. I should do a count, really. I mean, it's innocent, it doesn't take away. It just means that every time you see it, it's like, here we go, talking about thermals again. And that's why it's fun, that's why it's so high on the list, because it's just, you know, it's the thermals. The thermals. If you're an Animorphs fan and you see that word out in the wild, your first thought is going to be, Animorphs. Surely. Same with me. You don't hear about thermals very often, which is why it's so weird that it's such a common thing to say in the Animorphs series. How often do people talk about freaking thermals? Thermals! What's going to be number 1 on this little list? Surely you know. Surely you know what's going to be first on this list. Right, there's a certain chappie called Aximili who once thought to his selfie, "Ooh, I like me some of that sketty," but it turns out to be that all he's been eating is... what else rhymes? Oh, fuck it. Axe's eating habits / bonza, cinnamon bonza. The things that Axe eats, just a dryer lint, freaking engine coolant, I think, at some point. Obviously, cigarette butts, anything out of a freaking... everything, actually everything that isn't food. But the one food item that he cannot get enough of, and that we as Animorphs fans cannot get enough of, cinnamon buns, guys. Cinnabon. Yes, that's the one. And they're freaking gorgeous. I've eaten from Cinnabon. Oh, very nice. Very nice. I'm happy that Axe agrees, that the Andalites of the world agree that a good old cinnamon bun, man. Oh, chef's kiss and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely fantastic, and it's wonderful whenever a cinnamon bun is mentioned in the Animorphs series, or just when it's mentioned that Axe eats weird things. It is, I think, the greatest trope of the Animorphs series. There's a place near where I live. It's called, funnily enough, Bandits. You know, Andalite Bandits. It's called Bandits. And they're going to be doing cinnamon buns. I'm going to have some cinnamon buns at Bandits, guys. Bang! Yes! That's going to be freaking awesome. Let's do it! Rachel says. Tell me something that Axe hasn't put in his mouth. I mean, honest to God. Put it in the comments section below if you know. Anything that he hasn't eaten throughout the course of this series. That, I believe, is the #1 Animorphs trope. It's good to be doing a video, by the way, where I'm actually walking around again. It's like back in the old days, isn't it? You've got the background, you've got the me, we've got the you. It's like doing the reviews again. And I like just being able to be a bit more energetic in videos. Don't get me wrong, I'll still be doing the sitting ones for the more formal ones, like analysis, but this, wow, man, it's great. I feel so full of energy. Anyway, yeah, that's the list. If you can think of tropes that I haven't included on this list, let us know in the comments. And as well as that, subscribe. I think I'm doing membership things now on the channel. So there should be a join button. That means you'll get exclusive access to other content. I'm still figuring out all like the perks and that. I will give books away, you know. If you're going to be a member, I'll probably just occasionally say, "Do you want a book? I'll send you a freaking book." And for example, I'm getting a... oh, sorry, thingy. I'm getting a better one of these, so it's just sort of not quite complete. Somebody could have that, you know, if I particularly like you. Basically, we're going to be spreading the Animorphs love. And yeah, there'll be some cheeky perks coming on the way, so... hopefully, by the time this video goes up, I'll have everything sorted out. It's just a case of figuring it out. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. That is excellent. What do you reckon, Sean? So he likes it. Okay, so, Animorphs Tropes. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about my ranking. Let me know things that you think are also tropes in the series that I've potentially missed. And yeah, let's have some fun. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk Animorphs, guys. Let's do it. I shall see you next time. Ta-ra.